Welcome to Just Break Up, the podcast about love, heartbreak, and all the relationship advice you don't want to hear. My name is Sierra DeMulder.
And I'm Sam Blackwell, and today we're going to answer a letter from somebody who's managing living with her partner, even though his family sees her as an enemy. But before we begin, we just want to give you our Surgeon General's warning, which is that Sierra and I are not licensed mental health practitioners.
No, we are not. We are not professionals. We are not trained in any of this. And honestly, this particular style of letter, like family in-law issues, one of my least favorite topics because they suck so much. And because they suck so much and it's hard, there's not a lot that you can do. Whatever. The horse is in front of the cart.
No, so. It's also like I feel like you and I just have like family issues. So it's like answering these questions is like, I don't know. Here's the thing I'm trying currently.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. No, I know. I don't have in-law issues. I have family issues. Yeah. I'm lucky I don't have in-law issues. But yes, family stuff. And especially when you're new to a family, whatever, we're getting ahead of ourselves. This is all to say, please take our advice as you see fit. We're only here to offer our humble musings because we are not professionals. We're not trained in any of this. Hopefully we'll shed some understanding and maybe some laughs about the incredibly rewarding, but mostly confusing experience that is love and family. Yes. And merging families and in-laws. Yeah. All right. Our letter is coming to us from Catelyn Stark, who you must have chosen that name on purpose because A, you know that's a very clever reference if you're the person marrying into a family. And B, you know that Sam and I love Game of Thrones, so you knew this would immediately increase your chances of being chosen.
I'm going to be honest with you. Do not look at the names when I read through the letters.
Look at the name. Well, I don't pick them based on the names, but I was like, oh my God, Catelyn Stark, going to read this one. You know, like, I was like, ooh, cute. All right, here we go. So it's Catelyn Stark. Her pronouns are she, her, and she was writing to us from the void. I am a 25-year-old she, her, and have been in a monogamous relationship for close to 4 years with someone my age, he, him. His family lives across the country in the north. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. But I'm gonna think of all the references reading through.
I'm excited. I can't wait.
But they know me fairly well at this point. From the first time I met his family, his parents, especially his mom, have been very vocal about their criticisms of our relationship. It started off with small things like that we are too affectionate in public, but it has spiraled over the years. They have repeatedly said that I am not welcome at holidays, vacations, etc., and it's gotten to the point where they barely speak to me when I do see them. I have tried making an effort to talk with them, to learn their interests, buy them thoughtful gifts at holidays, etc., to no avail. He and I lived in the same location for school. Now I'm starting a new job. Now I'm starting a big job that I'm very proud of. But I'm moving to a new state to pursue it. Winterfell, obviously. My partner has been very unsure about whether he wants to move with me. The other option was for him to move back home to pursue his own big professional opportunity. I have repeatedly said that I'm so proud and would be happy with whatever he wants to do, but his parents have been very insistent that he needs to move back home and break up with me. He recently decided to move with me and has gotten a different great job where we're moving. He has struggled with mental illness since a child, but his parents have never acknowledged it or helped him find care. However, they recently confronted me, reasoning that he is having a nervous breakdown and that I have caused him to become depressed. To them, I am trying to control him by forcing him to abandon his dreams and come live with me. I'm supportive of whatever he wants to do and have tried to keep a brave face, but I don't take the kind of language they're using lightly. I have been second guessing the health of our relationship and constantly worrying that I'm being controlling. This is all leading up to my bigger question. I love him so much and wanted to be with him for a very long time, but it really hurts me that I don't feel like I am a part of my partner's family. They see me as an enemy and it affects my day-to-day life and makes me nervous. Family is very important to me, and even though he is trying to work on establishing better boundaries with them, which could be its own episode, I still worry that I will never be able to reconcile their opinion of me with my desire to belong. I have never been in a situation remotely like this before, so I'm at a bit of a loss. I keep scrutinizing everything that I keep doing and saying, looking for why they think so poorly of me. I love my partner, but I can't shake the feeling that I'm losing my mind whenever his family enters the equation. I wish I didn't care so much, but I do. How do I work past this? Is that even possible at this point? Thank you for everything you do, and please help me, LOL.
All right, Caitlin, thank you so much for writing to us about this question. This is just such a tricky situation because you say it so beautifully in what you wrote, which is like, I am really worried about I'm really worried about this idea that I'm never going to be able to reconcile their opinion of me, like, and that I won't feel belonging with them, right? And so much of what we want from our partners and from our families and from our communities is that sense of belonging, right? And, you know, it's clear that his family is a group of people who are really invested, good or bad, in his life. And that, you know, that really understandable feeling of wanting to be like, yes, and see me and see how I'm helping your son or your brother or whatever it is to live the life that he wants, to be happy with me. And they're like, no, this doesn't fit exactly what we wanted or what we thought should be happening. And so you are the problem here. And I want you to be in a place where you don't have to second guess yourself every moment of the day, thinking about what did I do wrong and how did this happen? And I also totally understand the impulse to do it because this is a really, like an unmooring type of situation where it's really understandable that you're like, something must be causing this, right? And that desire to feel some sense of control over this, because so much of it is outside of your control, to say like, oh, if I just do this, they'll like me, or there must have been something that I said that I can go back and apologize for, and then that will win them over. And what's so tricky about the situation, and I think what's so heartbreaking about it, is that so much of it is outside of your control, and also so much of it actually has absolutely nothing to do with you as a person, right? Like, and the idea that they can have all of this hatred, they can see you as an enemy, and it doesn't actually have anything to do with you, can be both like liberating, but also just like so sad, right? Like these people
so paralyzing
dislike me, right? Absolutely. They dislike me for no reason. You know what I mean? Like for no reason that I have had anything to do with, right? Like that is so hard to be in. So Tia and I are going to offer you a lot of empathy and love and support. We might also offer you some advice, although that that remains to be seen. But before we do that, we are going to take a quick break.
All right, my darlings, welcome back into our letter writer. I'm so sorry, especially because I said at the top of this episode, these are like my least favorite types of questions, not because of you, but because I feel so powerless in this moment. I don't really have a ton of advice other than to say this is difficult and challenging and stressful, and that this would weigh on me. If this was my in-law relationship, this too would weigh on me. And I can see the emotional labor that it is taking from you, the toll that it is having on you and your partner to be navigating this extra conflict. Like, relationships are hard enough without having this added confusing layer to things. And I too, like Sam said, I was so drawn to your perfect summation, the sentence where you're like, this balancing them and their aversion and your desire to belong, that like, even if you didn't care that much about them, you value family, you value belonging. And that is something I really, really relate to. I guess I'm going to say something that we always say, and then I'm going to give you one other piece of perspective from my life that I'm hoping will translate to you. Not a ton of tangible advice from Sierra this episode. The one piece of tangible advice is, this is a perfect thing to talk to a trained professional about. I know that's not really fun or flashy advice, but I guarantee you that so many mental health professionals, therapists, counselors help with family and in-law relationships, especially when there's not much you can actually do, but instead how you can set up more boundaries, particularly heart boundaries, meaning like you're just going to go about your day and act the same way, but you're not going to let the fact that they have a problem with you affect you, right? Or that they don't talk a lot to you on this family vacation, you're not going to let that in. You're going to be cheerful and stupid, and you're going to protect your heart. Therapy is a great space for that because it is really just somebody giving you a place to bounce those ideas off, strategies as to how to carry those feelings. And I also want you to talk to your partner. I don't know how explicit, because we don't have a lot of details in this letter, but we get the overall essence of it, like that this is a major conflict in your relationship, like a superficial one, like a, not that an incompatibility, but that this is really weighing on you. And I don't really, you hinted at the fact that your partner might have a ton of boundaries with their parents. Like, I really want you to be talking to your partner about this and talking about it as though you two are strategizing as a team. He will always have a different relationship with his family than you do. And that's okay. You can respect that, and you can work together to, I don't know, process these feelings. If anything, like maybe there's nothing tactile, nothing actually to do, except I want these feelings to be validated. I want them to be outside of your body because I don't want them to build up in a way that somehow poisons this relationship.
For sure. Absolutely. Yeah, I think that your partner can and should be a co-conspirator with you in how you're going to navigate this relationship with his family. And it sounds like I'm getting that vibe from the way that you talked about him and the way that he's trying to put up some boundaries with his family, which I think is really great. And like, continue doing that, continue having these conversations. And hopefully he's also seeing that his family is putting you in a really difficult situation and wants to support you in what it looks like to navigate that situation. The other thing that I will offer you as you're thinking about how to navigate this, and less about like, how do you talk to his parents or his siblings or whatever it is, but also thinking about like, how do you self-soothe knowing that this situation is probably not going anywhere, right? Like his family is going to continue to be around at least for the foreseeable future, and they're going to feel this way about you. I want to say like, the anxiety that you're feeling around this is really understandable, right? Like you're feeling nervous and anxious about the situation because this is a nervous, anxious situation, right? Like it's not that you are handling this poorly. It's not that you are, so fucked up that you're like, well, a different person could handle this better than I could, or I shouldn't be having these feelings of anxiety around the way that his family is treating me, right? Like it's really understandable that you're feeling nervous and anxious about the idea of interacting with them. I could imagine that like if his phone rings and it's like his mom on it, like that a feeling like
I'm already stressed out.
Absolutely. Like I would be activated immediately, right? Like, oh God, he's talking to her. What is she saying about me? Blah, 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 blah. And like all of that stuff isn't because you are like a terrible person who can't handle the situation. Like all of this stuff is so deeply understandable. And the way that your body and heart and mind are reacting to this stuff is like absolutely understandable. This is how our bodies and hearts and minds are trained to respond when we don't feel a sense of belonging, right? When we feel like we're under attack all the time. Yeah. So what I would love for you to think about is how can you be reasonably readier to support yourself when these triggers come up for you, right? When you know that something's going to happen. So what is the thing that you do after your partner has a conversation with their mom, right? Because we know that feelings of anxiety and questioning and panic might be coming up, right? Because understandable, why wouldn't they, given the situation that you're in? So when that happens, after he has a conversation with his mom, what are the things that you do to help yourself remember, A, that this actually has really little to do with you and more to do with her or his family's weird relationship with him, and like their weird protective ownership over him, right? What are the things that you're going to do to help regulate what's going on in your body, right? Like, is it I'm going to stand up and walk around the room? Is it that I'm going to, take 10 deep breaths? Is it that the two of us are going to go out and get a beer somewhere and talk about what they talked about so that just the two of us, so that it feels nice and private and also fun, right? Like, what are the things that you're going to do when you don't get invited to the family vacation, right? Okay, cool. Oh, yes, of course. All these feelings are coming up. Those feelings are normal. Those feelings are understandable. Those feelings need tending to. Those feelings aren't bad. They're just feelings that are coming up. So what are we going to do? What's the plan? How are we going to tend to those feelings and the hurt that I'm experiencing? Right? Because I think sometimes we get locked in this sort of pattern of saying, I'm feeling this anxiety. I'm triggered by this thing. That's bad. That's bad. That's bad. I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be doing this. And sometimes it can be helpful, or at least it is for me, to say like, no, of course I'm triggered by this. Why wouldn't I be? Right? Like, here's the 17 reasons why this thing is really bad for me. Right? Like, I'm not making this up. This is totally understandable. Okay. So what do I do to help get myself into a place where I feel more regulated, right? What are the things that I do to help soothe and remind myself of what I know to be true about my experience of my life and my experience with my partner, right? What are those things that happen? And my therapist was just telling me about this, but like, there are studies out there that say if folks can like point to some of the reasons why they're having the reaction that they're having, it actually makes it easier to begin to regulate. Because
makes so much sense.
Absolutely, because you're not just like, what the fuck's happened, what the fuck's happening, but instead you're like, oh yes, this thing. Yep. I can anticipate
thing.
Absolutely. Here's all the reasons why this is happening. Absolutely, this makes sense. I'm not freaking out because like I don't know what's happening. I'm freaking out because I know what's happening here, right? And so here's the things that I do. Here are the tools that I use when I know that this thing is about to happen to me, right? And like, I wish I could say, here's the magic pill to make you not care about what his parents think about you. Like, I really wish that I could offer that to you, but I can't, because of course you're going to care about what his parents think of you. He's important. Yeah, absolutely. Seriously.
A day.
Yeah, for a day of like, who I don't want to think about what anyone is thinking about me, right? Like that's the pill that I want.
Girl dinner. Yeah. Let me tack on to what Sam is saying too, and just offer my own, what I hope for you. If this relationship stays strong and you stay together long term the way you want to, your boyfriend is or will become your family, and you will feel that the more you move through life together and the more you do life together, this will start feeling like this is your family and they are an extension of that family, but they are not a part of it, And I just want to say that I don't know what your vision is for your relationship or your future. I don't know if you want to get married or have children or stay unmarried or child free or whatever. But I think regardless, I'm hoping for you that, like me, it will get easier over time to see that you and him are your own family, and that there comes a time in life where that shifts, where you look at your family of origin and recognize it just as that, as an origin, as a starting place, and that you're building your own life, your own family, your own traditions, your own values. And it will get easier over time to see that family as more of an unshakable truth, an unshakable, valuable piece worth protecting, with boundaries and with heart boundaries and with sustainable choices and whatever. For me, it was, I'm such a people pleaser. I have codependency in my fucking DNA, but it wasn't really until my wife and I started to build our own life, and when we had our daughter, I started to see that we had something worth protecting that was more valuable than the longing that I had to belong elsewhere. And that those things are still at odds. You know, the people pleaser in me, the longing to belong, the longing to please that I have, they're still in me. But now I see that I have something worth protecting and something valuable to me. I'm not sure if that makes sense. And I'm not saying it has to come with big life things like getting married or having children. You know, this could come just over time. This sense of valuable and, this sense of unshakable peace that you get from your chosen family, from your chosen life. And I hope that for you. I hope that this relationship continues to thrive and grow and mature together, and that you two can develop healthy boundaries, and that, I don't know, that your in-laws start to see you as a whole person that deserves respect and peace, even if they don't like you, because, you know, not all people are for us. And I hope that you see as time passes, that you are able to be in whatever shitty relationships with your in-laws. You know, you're able to be in these surface level relationships, participate in them, show up, be kind, be compassionate, and then clock out because you have this unshakable peace in your core family that's worth protecting. And if their toxicity spills over into that core piece, then you know something has to change. I know that that's more musings and than actual advice, but I do think it will. These questions are so hard because there's not a lot you can do, but hopefully it will get better over time internally in your house, in your family that's growing right now, you know?
I love that advice. I love the idea of like, you have something worth protecting here.
And I think you really mature into that ideology once you learn that, like, your parents could only give you so much, or your in-laws can only give you so much, and belonging to anyone other than yourself and your chosen family will always lead you astray, you know?
Absolutely. All right, my love, Catlin. We love you so much.
Mind your neck, you know?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Don't go to any weddings.
Yeah. And just know that relationships with in-laws are sometimes really fraught. And to know that it sounds like your in-laws don't actually have a problem with you specifically. They just have a problem with the idea of their precious child finding someone who isn't them. And that Sierra and I know that you and he have something worth protecting and something worth honoring and providing support to. So thank you for writing. We hope that this helps.
We love you so much.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. If you would like more content from us, or if you would like to join us for our monthly office hours, you can support us on Patreon. If you support us on Patreon, you'll get access to those monthly office hours, which are super fun. Our June office hours, I think, were like one of my favorites that we've ever done so far. It was so great.
So good.
Our next office hours are coming up on Sunday, July 28th at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central. I'm not kidding. Like, these are so fun. Y'all should sign up for Patreon to participate in these.
Each of us, just like, see what it's Spencer like. And Sam get $1.30 or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. They are awesome. And also, if you can't support us on Patreon, we totally understand. If you would rather spend that $5 on some sort of delicious coffee drink, go do that as well. We still love you, and we still appreciate you coming and listening to us every week. Yeah. That's patreon.com/justbreakuppod.
You can slide into our DM, send us your favorite relationship meme, but most importantly, you can submit your questions about all matters of the heart at justbreakuppod.com, which is also where you can find our merchandise.
Please remember to like, follow, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating and review. This literally keeps our mics on and helps us reach more brokenhearted souls who need two random strangers giving them relationship advice.
Just Break Up is a production of Duvid Media, original music, recording, editing, producing, all magical things by our good friend Spencer Worth Davis. Make sure to check out his podcasts and his music. And remember, sometimes things are always crunchy. Sometimes the smooth doesn't come and things will always feel difficult. At that point, you learn that it's more about learning how to protect that inner peace than changing or controlling the turmoil outside of your body. And if all else fails,
just break up.